Okay, 4, 5, and 6, we're finding the exact values of the angles given below. And again, so first of all, the sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse. The cosecant is the hypotenuse over the opposite. The cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. The secant is the hypotenuse over adjacent. Tangent, opposite over adjacent. Cotangent, adjacent over opposite. So here we want to find the cotangent of negative 2 pi over 3. Negative 2 pi over 3, if I change it to over 6, would be negative 4 pi over 6. So if I go negative, 1 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6 would be right on the line. So 4 pi over 6 would be here, which means that this is going to be a 60-degree angle. That one would be 30. So 1, 2, square root of 3, but this is going backwards, so it's negative. This is going down, so it's also negative. So I've got my reference triangle there. I want to do the cotangent. The cotangent is the adjacent over the opposite. So my adjacent is negative 1. My opposite is negative square root of 3. Since I have a negative over a negative, it's a positive. 1 over square root of 3, I have to rationalize the denominator, so I'm going to get the square root of 3 over 3. The secant is the hypotenuse over the adjacent. The hypotenuse is 2, the adjacent is negative 1. 2 over negative 1 would give me negative 2 for my answer. Number 5, this time we want to do a positive 7 pi over 4. So those are 45-degree angles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pi over 4 would be over here in quadrant 4. So we've got 1, 1, and the square root of 2. This is positive, but the down direction is negative. And so now we want to do tangent. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. So the opposite is negative 1, the adjacent is positive 1, negative 1 over 1 is 1. The cosecant is the hypotenuse over the opposite. Hypotenuse is square root of 2, the opposite is negative 1. Square root of 2 over negative 1 would be negative square root of 2. I'm going to sneak number 6 in there. So on here we're doing a positive 3 pi over 4. So again we're doing 45s. 1, 2, 3 pi over 4. 45 means it's 1, 1 and the square root of 2. But this one's going backwards, so that one's going to be a negative 1. Secant, hypotenuse over adjacent. Square root of 2 over negative 1, which is negative square root of 2. Tangent, opposite over adjacent. So opposite is 1 over the adjacent. 1 over negative 1 is negative 1. So those would be my answers. So again, using my reference triangles, my 30, 60, 90, and my 45, 45, 90. If you get those memorized, it's going to make a whole lot of these problems a lot easier than having to look up things in charts and tables all the time.